Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WildWeiler Weekly Wrap, British edition. If you watched my last vlog, you'll know that I went to England this week, and I had a blast. Primarily, the purpose of my trip was to see an Alasdair Beckett-King show, and for those of you that haven't heard of Alasdair Beckett-King, he's a comedian and podcaster. I have talked about his podcast here on the sort of vlog zone before, and this was a show that was originally planned for his 2020 tour, but this thing called the global pandemic caused that to be cancelled, so he's picking it up now, and it opened in Brighton on Friday. And I loved it. It was great. It was amazing. I had so much fun. It was kind of the perfect way to start a 4-day trip. And if you're watching this vlog and you're in the UK, or you'll be in the UK between now and June, look up the Interdimensional ABK tour and book tickets. I'm serious. It was fun. I have linked his YouTube and his podcast and just for the heck of it, the tour information down below. He doesn't even know me at all. I didn't really get a chance to interact with him at the show in any meaningful way, and he will never see this, so I am not being sponsored. I am just a fan. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that throughout my journey in England, I kept a list of trains that I went on because I'm an American. We don't really use trains over here for most of our country. The vast majority of it is completely trainless. So it was kind of novel to just keep a little train tally of my trip in general. So now I'm going to kind of use that as a framing device for the narrative of my entire trip. Now, for me, the first step of any travel involves going to the Seattle-Tacoma airport and sitting around for like 6 hours, because my flight to get there is always well away from any other flight I have leaving because I don't know. Well, the thing is the Seattle-Tacoma airport actually has a train to get you to the International Arrivals and Departures Terminal, so that would be train number 1. Then, it wasn't long after I arrived at London's Heathrow Airport that train number 2 appeared on the scene, the Heathrow Express, a horrendously expensive train that takes you from Heathrow Airport to Paddington in like 20 minutes, which, honestly, that part was nice. The fact that it cost like £25, I think, was a little ridiculous. Like, that's a whole video game right there. Like, on the Switch. Just open up your Switch and give yourself £25 to spend right now. Go ahead and convert that to your local currency. If you're in America, that's going to be close to $30. So, yeah. Yay. $30 in 20 minutes. That's a really bad return on investment, all things considered. But, you know. So that was train number 2. Train number 3 is an underground route, the Circle Line in particular, that I took from Paddington Station to Farringdon Station. It was nothing super interesting, except for the fact that it was my first underground sort of leg of the journey, and being as somebody who doesn't live in a city with a sort of 24-hour metro system, it was packed, and nobody on that thing was wearing a mask. Like, I get that, like, in general, people aren't wearing masks, like, when they go to the store. That's fine. You're, like, people to whatever ratio in a store is safe enough for most people. Like, I get that. I personally think maybe we should be wearing masks a little bit more than we are. But, I mean, we were packed in that thing like sardines. I was wearing a mask, and it felt uncomfortable to have nobody else doing it. But that's really all I'll complain about that. I talked to some of my my British friends while over there, and they're wearing masks on public transit still, but also surprised that maybe a lot of people aren't. And I don't want to like criticize anybody because I get it. You get mouse mask. You get mask mouth, and that's kind of gross, and it feels weird. And admittedly, I was coming from an overnight flight, hadn't brushed my teeth, like, trust me, I was feeling it. But people, if you're on a train, wear a mask. There's a lot of people there. Like, please. Anyways, at Farringdon, I arrived and basically got onto the most packed train I have ever been on, the Thameslink to Brighton, which is a lovely town in the south of England, which is where the Alasdair Beckett-King show was to take place. And it was a long, hot ride. And the moment I got on the train was absolutely packed, like just stuffed full of people. And we got to Gatwick Airport, which is the airport on the line, and I thought, oh, all of these people with bags are going to get off of train number 4 here. Like, that's going to be fine. The train will empty out a little bit. Wrong! We got to Gatwick and a whole bunch of more people got on the train. The reason being everybody that was on the train wasn't going to Gatwick. They were Londoners going to Brighton for a 4-day weekend, which, good for them, but man, was that train just absolutely packed. And there's also like a horrifying like bathroom on it where the whole door just kind of goes whoosh open. And whatever. It was the weirdest thing. The absolute weirdest thing. Very hot train, lots of people. Train number 4, don't recommend. 0 out of 0 stars. Totally packed. 0 out of 0. That's a full score, but whatever. So I have arrived in Brighton, and now I have several hours between when I have arrived and my Alasdair Beckett-King show. So what do? I walk around, because Brighton is beautiful. It's a really lovely city. All of the sort of street art is aggressively LGBTQ plus positive. Like, there's trans anarchy symbols painted everywhere. It's just, I love it. Like, I've never fallen in love with a town as quickly as I fell in love with Brighton, because it's by the sea. Everything is really colorful. Admittedly, like, the people I interacted with seemed really nice. There's a gay club called Revenge, so what am I going to complain about? It was pretty cool. Had I known that it was going to be that cool, I would have maybe planned to do more activities there, but it was also, like, travel shocked. So for the most part, I just wandered around and didn't do a whole lot except for take pictures. Oh, and ride this thing called the Volk Electric Railway. That's right, train number 5. It's an old-timey Victorian-era, like, electric railway. It's kind of awesome in that it's really awesome. Like, it's really, really, really cool. I cannot overstate this. Anyways, so I rode that. You kind of just take it from its station near the pier out to the marina and back. It's like a 15-minute, 20-minute journey. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. It's all rickety-rackety. I wanted to do nothing more than return and get a whole bunch of fursuiters and get us all in sort of Victorian era like garb, like we're vacationers or having a beach day in the Victorian era and ride that train. It would be hilarious, and I think it would be great. Then I saw the aforementioned Alasdair Beckett-King show, and it was the best. I really enjoyed it. Even though I said earlier that I didn't interact with the man, that isn't quite true, because I briefly did, I bumped into him, and I'm going to recount that for you now. I went to the opening show of his interdimensional ABK tour in Brighton, England. And it was a great show. It was great. It was amazing. I, before the show, got a glass of Pinot Grigio, and they gave it to me in a plastic cup, and they're like, hey, if you bring this cup back, you get £1 off your drink. And I was like, sweet. So, watch the show. Love it. Laughed so hard, I'm pretty sure I cried, and a lot of people in the audience did the same. It's a great show. You should go see it if you can. Anyways, at the end, everybody is in line because they want their £1 back for their drink, which, cool. And if you had a number of drinks, that could really add up. Anyways, I'm in line and I'm kind of like queuing through. I get my £1. They give it back to me as a coin. I thought it would be like a refund on my card, because what am I, an American, gonna do with a £1 coin? Like, nobody is taking coins anywhere, so I have nothing to do with this coin. That's not the point. The point is in line behind me gets the man himself. And he's basically trying to get past me. So I kind of move down one of the rows of chairs, which is right there, to get out of his way, which actually turns out to be the way he's going. So I go to move again, and then I slip on a puddle, and I almost completely eat it. And he reaches out, he doesn't quite grab me to stabilize me, but he reaches out in that way that, like, you kind of instinctively reach for somebody who's falling, and then you realize they're a stranger, and it might be weird if you make physical contact with them. And he says, "Be careful, the floor is very slippery." In that way that is, like, very concerned that somebody almost fell, And also in a way that is totally not helpful, because at that point I'm already slipping, but that is what we as humans do. Like, everything about the interaction was so human. The, like, reaching to help and then realizing I was a stranger and slightly recoiling, and then telling me that the floor was slippery after I had slipped. And then I said, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get out of your way. And that was it. That was the interaction. But it was just so hilariously human that I loved it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, and it meant a lot in this just dumb, weird way, because I think the saying of, like, never meet your heroes, not that, Alasdair, if you're watching, okay, you are kind of a hero, like, comedically speaking, you really are. I love how you managed to find success in whimsy. It's amazing. And it's special, and it doesn't punch down in a way that I think people should pay attention to. But in a much more real sense, like, it was amazing to just share a very human moment. Like, everything about that situation was human. Me slightly tipsy tripping on a spilled puddle of booze, and you potentially recoiling from the horror of touching a complete stranger. I loved it. It was great. That's all. Then I walked around Brighton at night for a bit and continued to fall in love with the place. It was really great. It was really cool at night. There's a lot of really narrow sort of pedestrian walkways in between rows of houses, and like, in that British way that the back gardens kind of all touch each other. It was nice. I did feel a little weird at some point, wondering, like, should I be walking around, like, these are people's homes? But, I wasn't making any noise and whatever. It was a really lovely little time. The next morning, though, I had to leave Brighton, because my journeys called me to return to London. Now, to do that, I got back on the train that I had previously left, the Thames link to London, and it started out relatively empty in Brighton, and then the closer and closer and closer we got to London got more and more packed. But luckily this time I had a seat, so, 3 stars out of 10. Very packed train, which is good. That means it's getting used, but geez. Also an expensive train, a very expensive train. I have not tallied together my train bill for this journey, but woo! No wonder people complain about the train fees from London to Brighton, because that is not a cheap train. Probably cheaper than Uber, but way more packed than an Uber. I'll tell you that much. And that was pretty much it for trains for the next 2 days. Now, on Saturday, I did go to a LondonFurs meet in London, and that was great. I met a lot of really cool, interesting people. I met an old friend or two. It was cool. And honestly, it had the attendance that rivaled the con that we had in the city I live in. Like, and it's just their every 3 weeks local fur meet. So that's gotta be great. Like, just living in an area where you could just meet so many, like, furries has gotta be great. And I wanted to thank all of you LondonFurs for giving me such a warm welcome. I enjoyed talking to all of you. And if you find this video somehow, connect with me on Twitter or Telegram or something and say hi, please. I would absolutely appreciate it. It was amazing. That was pretty much it for Saturday. I think that was like an 8-hour fur meet. It somehow took the whole of my day. I wasn't planning on spending my whole day there, but I did. And it was great. And it was wonderful. And I loved it. So then I walked to my hotel and went to bed, because I was very, very tired because time zones. And the next day I woke up and I met with another friend, and we toured the HMS Belfast for 4 hours. Now, the HMS Belfast is a British cruiser of some renown. It served in World War II and the Korean War all the way up. I can't remember when its last refit was. But it definitely changed a lot in all of those times. And it was a really cool tour. And not a lot of people were on it, so we kind of just could walk everywhere. Like, we were ignoring the, like, which way to go signs. And it was fun, and it was cool. And if you like touring ships, and you like the smell of grease paint and rust-resistant lubricant, that's the tour for you. Also, for whatever reason, there's a World of Warships, like, exhibit where you can just play World of Warships if you want to. So, huzzah. And that was my Sunday. I tried to go back to bed after that and a couple of other things, and I just woke up at like 3 a.m. Monday morning, and so I walked around. I just walked around and I took pictures of sort of the sleepy city of London in the early hours of the morning. I was really struggling to get them to turn out without like a tripod. The low light photography is quite difficult, and I did not pack a tripod because I did not want to lug it around. I do not have a light tripod, and maybe I should get one. But I did get a couple of very nice pictures that I think turned out okay. Then it was back off to Paddington Station and my final train to Heathrow Airport, where I returned home, and now I am recording this. I am also very tired, so that will account for any of the sort of ramblings, because I'm gonna just basically keep everything in, throw this up, and take a nap. So that does it. That was my British vacation. If I met you on it, hi! If you liked this video, let me know, because I could definitely do sort of rambling, recappy blogs anytime anybody wants. But special thank you to all of the friends that showed me around and all of the new people I met. You made London a very enjoyable place. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I have not gotten anything together yet for a stream schedule or a video schedule because, as I mentioned, I am just now back. So please pay attention to my socials, particularly Twitter, and I will let you know what is going on. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day. I will see you next time. And as always, I have been WildWeiler. Bye-bye. Also, look at the absolute attitude of the seagull.